Hello, you gorgeous people. Welcome to this beginner's yoga class, just a quick one. Well, if you follow my channel already, then you know that this is my first voiceover video. Exciting. We've got our hands on the chest and stomach, and we're just starting with a bit of breathing here. Eyes can be closed, and I just want you to be aware of the breath rather than guide it. But sometimes when you start a yoga class, we feel like we want to breathe in deeply, sigh out, anything like that is fine as well. But if you settle for just listening to the breath now, not making it loud or anything, just getting much more tuned into the breath, and then noticing the rise and fall of the stomach and the chest. And even though there's no hand there, the rib cage as well. And we keep being aware of the breath as we just gently bring the left hand onto the head and walk the right hand away from us to the side. But we don't actually have to use the hand at all. Sometimes, especially if you've got neck issues, you might want to take things a little bit easier. Sometimes less is more. Just come into this lovely stretch into the side of the neck and hold that for a little while you're aware of the breath. And we don't have to guide the breath. You can just gently breathe in and out, observing the breath, and then slowly guide your chin towards your armpit or towards the collarbone. There's no exact science about, well, there is a science about the body, many, but every body is different. So go somewhere that feels comfortable for you. And same thing here. You could use the hand to gently press down or just as a weight, or you could release. And then slowly bring the chin to the chest, with or without the hands. Just hold there, back straight, shoulders to the back, chest to the front. And slowly roll up through the spine. Roll into the shoulders a few times. Make sure your jaw is relaxed. And then from here, we come into the other side, which also means the outer foot goes in towards us if you're sitting like me in Asana. And obviously there's other options here as well. So now drop your right ear to the right side, right hand onto the head, maybe not. And that left hand can walk away from you to the side. So lots of options, as always. More important is that you're comfortable and that you're holding for long enough so that you really release any tension in the muscles and maybe in the fascia, in your connective tissue as well. You might smile. Yes, you might. And then bring the chin down towards the collarbone, maybe towards the armpit. Hands wherever they're comfortable. Sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of weight. Sometimes you might want to spare that. Cool. And then nice and slowly breathe in. And as you exhale, chin to the chest. And this time, both hands behind the head, if that's comfortable. Start rounding your back. So bring the shoulders forward, chin all the way on the chest. Round as much as you can. Release the hands if you want to, or leave them where they are. And then slowly come up again. Nice deep breaths. And we move into the neck in a way that's comfortable. So you could do half circles like I am here. You could do full circles if that's nice for you. Not nice for everyone. Or you could move in another way that that just feels more intuitive to you. That is something that you might want to do right now. And start rolling into the shoulders again. We straighten the head. As always, the eyes can be open or closed, whatever feels better for you. And then we can raise the hands and elbows as well and let them guide the way together with the shoulders. But again, that's optional as well. And raise the arms, reach them high, bring them to the back and down. Maybe you've got a plant behind you as well. Inhale, raise the arms. Exhale to the back and down. Inhale, arms go up. And exhale to the back and down. Mobility on one side is always different to the other, but just feel whatever is possible for your body and go to that place where you're still comfortable, where you feel a good stretch. Good. On the next exhale, you push the shoulders down, you push the elbows down, inhale up, and exhale, elbows down. Looks a bit like a W, so we do that a few more times. But rather than mimicking my movement, find your own rhythm here. So that you're inhaling and raising the hands and the head, and exhaling, pushing the elbows and the head down. And then inhale into a Y shape, exhale into an L shape. Inhale diagonally, exhale, elbows to your sides, and so on. Again, maybe I'm too fast for you, maybe I'm too slow. Find your own rhythm, inhaling into a Y and exhaling into that L shape. stay and reach the arms to the sides and back in. And now we can go a little bit further here. So as the arms straighten, they go to the sides and we inhale. And as we bend the arms again, we might bring the elbows even further behind us, as if we wanted to touch the elbows behind us. And then hands onto the shoulders, obviously a shoulder focus here, hooray. And we just draw these circles with the elbows. Elbows touch every time they go to the front. And release. And we come onto all fours. So aligning the wrists with the shoulders, the knees with the hips. But also this needs to work for you. I say it a lot, but make sure that as you're here in Padmanasana, that is actually comfortable for you. And start arching and rounding the back, inhaling and arching, and exhaling and rounding. And again, this may not be your rhythm, what I'm doing here. And if you feel like guiding the breath, that's fine. But keep it gentle, keep it soft. Remember that basic yogic breath is soundless and so gentle that it doesn't move the hairs in your nostrils. And you can go off piste here a little bit like I am, just freestyle, do what's comfortable, any other little movement that feels nice. And then inhale, raise your right arm, look up to the ceiling if that's comfortable. And breathe into the side, into your rib cage. And as you exhale, guide your arm to the left side so that the arm is on the ground, your head is on the ground. If it isn't, you could use your left arm and just rest the head on it. So that's an option. You could also keep the left hand on the ground. Or you could bring that hand behind you or reach it towards the back, just keeping it quite high and long. So lots of different options here. Choose the one that's comfortable. That might involve straightening your left leg as well. So just play around a little bit with where you might be most comfortable. And then slowly release back into tabletop pose and inhale, raise your left arm. And as before, we're staying here for a little bit, just breathing into the left side of the body, more aware probably of the rib cage. And on your next exhale, whenever that is, guide your left arm over to the right side and get comfortable. So now I've got my right arm underneath my head. Just in case that's comfortable, keep it there. Or you could raise the arm and you can see a bit better. Arm could be long, could drop behind you, and that right leg could straighten. So no right or wrong ever, just what's good for your body. And there is as many yogas as there are people in this world. That's from the Bhagavad Gita. And it doesn't just mean that there's many paths towards enlightenment or liberation, towards just being a more relaxed person. That's the main bit. And then from there happens more. Come into child's pose from here. But it's also about how you practice your asanas, your postures. So there's no right or wrong here. For example, you could put your hands onto your shoulders. Sometimes that gives you release, lets the shoulders get a little bit more relaxed and heavy. But you can do with the arms whatever you want. And slowly from here, come up onto all fours. Bring your knees a little bit further back. And then tuck your toes under and bend the arms. And you want to make sure that the elbows go in towards you and not out to the side, so that you're using your triceps rather than the biceps, as I did just now. And then come down all the way, chest in between your hands. And if that was a bit difficult, just come onto the front of the body and then push yourself up. So that's an easier way to do it, maybe if you haven't done it before. And as you can see here, my hips are quite high. That doesn't have to be the case. Now drop your hips, raise the chest very gently, forearms to the ground. And that's the more known version of Bhujangasana, with the hands next to the chest. But again, forearms can stay on the ground as you just gently move into the neck, just making sure you're comfortable. Look to the right side, to the left. You could come higher as well, but make sure that's not too much for your lower back. And then tuck your toes under, push the hips up, and walk the heels into the mat a little bit. And I always think, seeing these videos of people who've been doing yoga all their lives, I've done it ever since I was 4 years old, so I never gave my body the chance to seize up. Obviously, my legs can be long, but yours can be bent. You just want to make sure you're pushing your tailbone to the back. And then inhale, raise your right leg, and move into your ankle a little bit. And then bring the foot down. Same on the other side, left leg goes up. And you want to make sure the shoulders are actively pushing to the back. It's okay if they come forwards a little bit. We don't have to look perfect in any way. It just needs to be comfortable for us, needs to work for us. Roll forwards into a plank now. So basic push-up position. You could bring the knees to the ground here to make this easier. Try not to let your hips drop and try not to squeeze your shoulder blades here. And then again, we're coming into that knees, chest, chin position, arching the back, shoulders away from the ground, and squeezed. And then from here, drop your hips, raise the chest. This can be a deep cobra, but it can be a really mini, baby, tiny cobra as well. Bhujangasana, the cobra. We tuck the toes under and push back up. This is widely known as downward dog. I learned it as mountain pose. Raise your right leg again. And this time, flex your foot and drop the heel to the buttocks. Push your knee up to the ceiling. Look to the front. Step to the front and bring your left heel to the ground. So you're coming up into Virbhadrasana, or Warrior One, named after a very angry Shiva. I might tell you that story sometime. And maybe on the other side. But what we want to do here is push that right hip to the back, left hip to the front, but make sure that you're comfortable here. How deep you're sinking is completely up to you. Whether the arms are high or they're resting on your hips is also up to you. It needs to work for you. And then we open up to the left side into Warrior Two, that second Shiva. Actually, he's drawing a sword here. And you want to make sure that you're still pressing the right knee out. Sometimes intuitively we want to collapse the knee, making it easier for ourselves. Now drop your right arm and send your left arm over to the front. You might look to your left fingernails. You might also look up to the ceiling. Needs to work for you, needs to be comfortable for the neck. And you want to keep being aware of that right knee pushing out. Now slowly, hands to the ground and step back into mountain pose, out downward dog. And then inhale, raise your left leg. Exhale, flex your foot, drop the heel. Keep that foot flexed, knee high. And on your next inhale, when am I ready to inhale? Yes, look to the front. And exhale, step to the front, right heel to the ground. And then inhale, raise your arms, straighten the torso, and sink into that left leg. Not at all costs. This doesn't have to be a 90-degree angle. In fact, you can see I'm not at a 90-degree angle. And the hips don't have to be aligned either. We just want to try and push that right hip forwards, but keep making sure it's comfortable for every part of the body. What's going on in the right knee, for example, as you're doing that? Are you happy with that? And then open up to the right side and look to the front. You want to keep the hands in line with the shoulders. I've got my palms open to the ceiling here. Traditionally, you would bring them down, but that's okay, because sometimes when we do something that's a little bit different, we're honing our awareness and our, just sense of being in the moment, our mindfulness. And drop your left arm onto the left leg. Right arm goes up and over to the front. We may look wherever we want to. It should help the whole of the posture and that openness here. You could imagine a wall behind you that you're resting against. And just feeling that it's not just the butt cheeks that are resting against the wall, but the back as well. And then slowly release your hands to the ground and step to the back. And it doesn't matter where the hands are. If they're far further forwards as you're stepping back, it's fine. You can always adjust. Roll forwards into a plank. You want to try and make that an exhalation. And then knees to the ground. Drop your chest and chin. Maybe not all the way, and push yourself to the back. So this is a preparation for Chaturanga Dandasana, or that low plank. And here, obviously, child's pose. Just hang out here for a little bit, relax. Right, and then from here, we slowly come up onto all fours and drop the chest between our hands, hips high in Ashtanga Namaskar, Ek Path Salute, and then inhale, drop your hips, raise the chest in your cobra. Exhale, tuck your toes under, push the hips up. Inhale, raise your right leg, nice and long. And exhale, step the foot to the front. Doesn't have to land between your hands. And drop your left knee to the ground. Push it a little bit further back. Then raise your arms if you can, but hands on the ground is fine as well, because this can be a bit much. So just a low lunge. This is called Anjaneyasana, named after the little Hanuman. Hanuman poses the splits, and you can tell how we're trying to sort of get ourselves to that point. To me, Anjani is... or Anjaneyasana is the epitome of patience, because not just do we want to be patient with our body before we get into the splits, but also Anjani learned, we're going to drop the hands and raise the right arm, push the knee out. Can you tell that this is my first voiceover? You could drop that right arm behind you. You could also keep it high, whatever works here for you. But yeah, Anjani learned from the sun, from Surya, the sun god, all the wisdom of the world. And that took quite a few thousand years. So we need that patience as well. In order to get anywhere with flexibility. That doesn't come naturally to everyone, doesn't happen overnight. We tuck our left toes under and straighten the leg, and then raise that right arm again, so in a twisted lunge, but with that knee off the ground. Obviously, you have the option of adapting this in any way that you like, and I think that's the most important thing when you're a beginner. Just do what feels right for you, and nothing that doesn't feel good, especially when you're staying. Now step to the back into your mountain or downward dog. Inhale and raise your left leg, and then exhale, step the foot to the front. Drop your right knee. Push that knee further back so that you can sink the hips down and to the front, maybe wiggling the hips a little bit, and then raise the arms, or maybe not. So really, really up to you whether the hands might want to stay on the ground, because it is quite a lot and there's gravity that is pulling you down as well. So just be comfortable here and be patient with your body, just like Anjani had to be, just like Hanuman had to be. And breathe. Just follow the movement of the breath. We don't have to guide the breath. We just want to be aware of the breath. Noticing where it's going. And hopefully we're breathing in and out through the nose, not the mouth, and feeling the movement in the stomach. That's when we know we're breathing these diaphragmatic breaths. So lovely, efficient gas exchange. Right hand down, left arm goes up, and we keep pushing our hips down. We might also push our left knee out. And as I said before, you could, on this side, also drop that arm behind you. Whatever works, really. So be comfortable. Give yourself the best chance always to focus on the breath, to listen to the breath, because it'll tell you if anything is wrong in this pose. And then you can react to that and make any changes that you need to make. Hand comes down, and we tuck our back toes under to straighten the leg off the ground and raise that same arm again. And breathe. So where do you feel that breath? And is it hard not to guide the breath, but just feel the breath? I think it is. Left hand down, and we step to the front. And we can just a little bit here, bring the feet apart and just ragdoll style, rock from side to side, hands to the opposite elbows, or you can just let the arms drop. And then hands to the ground, push your hips all the way down and roll onto your back. Hug the knees in towards you. Rock from side to side if you want. And then slowly bring your right knee on top of the left and drop your knees to the left side. Maybe turn your head to the right into a comfortable twist here. This is called Markat Asana. Markat is the monkey. You could, if you wanted to, have your hands on your side, just because sometimes that's quite nice to sort of feel the movement of the breath. Makes it easier for us to locate where the breath is, depending on how much we're in tune with the body. Sometimes we just miss these things that are completely normal, that are always there, just because we never really focus on them. And that monkey pose has all sorts of different variations. You don't really have to be exactly there. A way to deepen would be like this, bringing the left hand, sort of hooking it underneath, or even the forearm underneath your right leg, and pulling the knee closer towards your left shoulder. But there's no right or wrong. It just needs to work for you. And the nice thing I always say is that you are the only person who can feel what's going on in your body. So you are your best teacher. Coming up, and bring the left knee on top of the right, and then drop your knees to the left side. Turn your head to the right. No, sorry, that was completely wrong. Drop your knees to the right side, turn your head to the left. But I'm sure you did that and ignored me, which is good. Ignore me a little more. And then just again, hands anywhere at all where they're helpful. Maybe that right hand is on your left side. Maybe the right hand is gently pressing the left knee down. And that left arm can be anywhere. You just want to try and make sure that you're heavy here. Leave that left shoulder heavy. Try not to raise it off the ground. And just notice how your back feels. If you can sort of visualize your spine. How might it look now, and where can you feel that stretch, that twist the most? And again, you might deepen in the way that I quite like. That doesn't mean that it's for you. Pulling that right knee towards the left knee towards the right shoulder. God. And just keeping the left side quite heavy. Right leg could straighten. You can bring your left hand anywhere you want. There's a lot of your lung capacity is actually in the back as well, so you could feel movement there as well. Slowly roll onto the back. And then from here, hug the knees in towards you again in Pavan Mukta Asana. Maybe just bring the hands underneath the knees. Sometimes that's a nicer, deeper release for your lower back. But it's also quite nice to have the hands there, because if you do, then the legs are sort of holding the hands, or in my case, the forearms in place, and the arms don't have to do any work, but they're also holding the legs in place. So it's a 2-for-1, and you can just relax here. Relax your shoulders. Relax your jaw as well. That's always worth checking on, that we're not clenching the jaw. And slowly push the knees out. Flex your feet up towards the ceiling into what's called Anand Balasana, or happy baby. In the sort of deepest version of this, you would have the hands on the feet and push the knees out and the feet in ever so slightly, even though the feet and, or rather the heels and the knees may be right on top of each other. But that's just one version. So do bring your hands wherever they're comfortable. That goes for any sort of discomfort, any tension in the shoulders or in the neck. So if you feel your chin rising up a little bit, any kind of change in the position of the head, if you're holding on too high, and you just let go and bring the hands elsewhere. Now we release, we drop the feet to the ground and drop the knees from side to side. And if the feet are quite far apart, you should feel this more in your hips and in your sides than as a twist that we've already done. And that may feel quite nice, I hope. And we stretch the legs away from us, getting nice and long. And we might guide ours, this is coming into a side stretch from yin banana stretch, guide the heels towards the left side gently and the torso gently to the left side as well, so that the hips are further on the right hand side than the rest of the body. But really there's no right, no wrong. You could just stretch out here and maybe feel that in the side as well. But a little side stretch here, right side of the body, by sliding the heels a little bit further to the left. That doesn't have to be far. Sometimes in order to feel that, depending on how your flexibility is, how your body works, you might have to slide your hips a little bit further to the right side. So anything goes here. And then we do the same on the other side. So just sliding the heels over to the right side a little bit. Maybe keeping the torso where it is, maybe bringing one ankle on top of the other. Maybe sliding the upper back a little bit further to the right. Or again, sliding the hips, the buttocks, over to the left side a little bit more. But it's all about how it feels in your body. Because that's essentially what yoga is about. It's a way towards enlightenment. That sounds like a biggie, so I'll break it down. Way towards liberation, liberating yourself from the old structures of thinking and being, everything that's going on in the brain. And that means that the body has to be ready. So what we're doing is changing what's going on in the body, the chemistry of the body. Come back to center, hug the knees in order to change the architecture of the brain. That takes a while. Most of us are not enlightened. We might have to look quite far, rock up to seated. A few times of rocking forwards and back to give yourself a massage maybe. And then, coming up. But the most important thing is cross your legs and be comfortable, because otherwise you can't do right by your body. As you're crossing the legs, normally we have that intuitive side that we do most of the time. So bring your outer foot in towards you and then gently twist, opening up the torso to the left side. And the right hand could be behind you. And opening up the torso to the right side. And coming back to the front, we bring the hands back onto the chest and stomach. Just breathing gentle breaths into the body. As always, you can guide your breaths, but maybe you want to settle on just feeling the breath. And then use your right hand, so I'm not mirroring here, use your right thumb to close off the right nostril. And just take a few breaths. They don't have to be special breaths. Just keep breathing normally. It just so happens that the right nostril is closed and you're breathing just through the left. And then we change sides using any finger of the right hand, really. Could be the forefinger, could be the ring finger. There's different mudras, hand gestures for that. But you're just closing off the left nostril to breathe in and out through the right. And back to closing off the right nostril, breathing in and out. And then changing sides. Breathing in and out through the right nostril. Maybe seeing which nostril is more dominant, where it feels like it's more open. And inhale through the left nostril. And exhale through the right. And please don't look at my rhythm and try to imitate it, because it really doesn't matter. In fact, maybe at the beginning you just want to breathe normal breaths and adjust your hands to what the breath is doing automatically. Then you could guide the breath a little bit and maybe focus on exhaling for longer than you've inhaled. But don't push out the air. Keep yourself nice and relaxed. And you could hold your breath at the top as well after you've inhaled. It could be a long hold or not. But please don't hold your breath if it's uncomfortable. Definitely don't hold if you're pregnant or if you have blood pressure issues or a heart condition. Finish that round you're on after your next exhalation. Just release the hands either onto the knees or onto your chest and stomach. And breathe and observe the breath. And we're going to finish our yoga class with a few little stretches into the neck, into the shoulders. I hope you enjoyed. Rub your hands together. And then gently place the palms over your face, hovering or pressing gently down. And then bring the hands to your heart center, open the eyes. Thank you so much.